And yes, I'll admit at first, I didn't want her. I had the number in my bag for ages thinking, any day now, I'll book in. I just couldn't do it. But old Mother Nature had other plans. Describing myself how the olds would react. I mean, it's hardly good news, you know, and they hadn't even met Simon. My belly was getting really fat. Nikki said my boobs looked huge. Mum cried when I told them. Dad didn't say a thing. In the end, they were pretty cool. Guess I couldn't have gotten through it without them. Mum and Nikki came to the clinic for the scan. You could see its legs moving around. It was fully weird. I didn't want to know what flavour it was. Mum was annoyed, but the nurse said it was my choice. At times, I kind of felt like I was in one of those zombie movies. Like I went to sleep and woke up and I was possessed by some freaky alien force. Like, I was really fat. Like, gross elephant fat. Like, at night, I had to plan how I wanted to roll over in bed. It was a major exercise. It was pathetic. I had to borrow Mum's jeans and Dad's old rugby shirts. No way was I buying clothes for it like some of them do. Wearing these tight lycra dresses that show off the bump. I mean, why do they even do that? I didn't feel like me. I didn't even look like me. I was just this vessel carrying around this creature. And everything was about the baby. Don't do this, it'll hurt the baby. Take these, they'll help the baby. Someone on the bus called me a fat cow, so I turned around and shouted, I'm not fat, I'm pregnant, what's your excuse? Checked Simon's Facebook and there were all these pictures of him with this girl. She had on this really ugly bikini and she looked way too thin. My waters broke while I was watching So You Think You Can Dance. It was the most disgusting thing ever, like I'd wet myself. And it took like 16 hours for her to come out. I seriously thought I was going to die. Mum held my hand through the worst bits. I didn't think she'd have so much hair. And her eyes are like freaky blue. Mum says that'll change soon. We decided to call her Emily after Nana. Emily goes like crazy when So You Think You Can Dance is on. Mum says that means she'll grow up to be a dancer. I just hope she goes to college. And finishes. Get a little bit further than her mum did. Make the most of her life. But as long as she's happy, that's enough. For me, being a mum has meant that I've had to miss out on so much. I don't resent her, I just wish it hadn't happened now. Mum says that I'll grow into it. I bloody hope so. Now that she's here, I guess I feel a bit old. Kind of responsible. I can't just do my own thing, hang out with Nikki like I used to, and I had to put off going to college for a year. But then other times, I'm like really into it. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm going to join the buggy brigade. You won't see me wandering around Coles wearing those hideous combat pants and polo shirts talking about lactating, as if. I definitely do feel differently though. I love her more than anything. Anything. I Facebooked Simon to tell him about Emily. He hasn't replied yet. She has his nose, maybe his chin, but the rest of her is all mine.
Well, lucky you, disposable nappies. In my day, it was good old terry toweling nappies, and we had these big safety pins with a clasp over the top so it wouldn't come undone. I remember so many times I had Smidge all wrapped up in, which of course should have been on the shelf above the change cable, and of course it never was there. Thank God he's a fully grown man now, well balanced, can communicate his needs without throwing a tantrum most of the time. And I just found out he's going to be a dad. I'm going to be a grandmother.
Oh,
congratulations.
That's awesome.
Oh, so much time's passed since, but I still remember it as if it was yesterday. In that moment, just after giving birth, an overwhelming bond, like a huge rope joining my baby and I together. Still feel that bond today. Never goes away. Oh, I'm so excited for him. Because at the end of the day, despite all the challenges of parenting, you wouldn't give it up for all the money in the world.
Oh, look at the time.
Oh dear, we better get moving. You take that. I'll give you a hand with the pram.
Oh, thank you.
Now you need a hand, Judy.
No, I'm fine. Thank you. I'll lock up.
Okay then.
later.
Bye.
All right, get out of my way. I have a pram. Do you know how hard this is?
I told Ollie's teacher he wasn't coming to school on Grandparents' Day because seeing all the other kids with their grandmas might make him uncomfortable. What I can only admit to myself is it wasn't his discomfort I was worried about. It was me who didn't want to see the other kids with their grandmas. I never wanted children. I didn't hate them or anything, I just couldn't imagine myself being a mother. But I said to Dave, if you think you even might want children, you shouldn't marry me. Silly sod apparently couldn't help himself. And maybe he thought I'd changed my mind, or he hadn't really thought about having kids, and when he did, he wasn't that bothered about it. No, he never said. Actually, you know that joke about the woman who's so wrapped up in her career that one day she suddenly realises she forgot to have kids? Yeah, that's kind of what Dave's like, except he's preoccupied with everything but his career. So yeah, he probably had never thought about it. Now, it's lucky he goes with the flow because I did change my mind. Eventually, after 5 or 6 years and a disastrous visit to the free counselling service of the Uni Student Union, you'll get over it, just get pregnant and everything will be okay. Then I got used to the idea of maybe having a baby. So we left it to chance, Russian roulette. We'd almost given up and decided it wasn't such a bad thing, or maybe we didn't really want it to happen anyway. Which is, of course, when it happened. Now, when you're obviously pregnant and someone asks you how you are, your first instinct shouldn't be to answer, terrified, thanks, how are you? And crying quietly but uncontrollably in a cafe after finding out you're having a boy at your 20-week ultrasound isn't exactly normal behaviour, is it? Yeah. And isn't it a little bit strange to only be thinking of girls' names? And what is with the fit of weeping the day in the hospital when I give birth, when I see all the other new mums in the ward getting visits from their families? You know, my body may have been a big, sloppy, soupy stew of hormones, but this wasn't just the baby blues. After a few months of this, I started to worry. Never shy of a bit of self-diagnosis, I decided I was depressed, but not postnatally so. I went and saw a counsellor, a good one this time. It's a strange thing, finding out that all your personal idiosyncrasies, insecurities and inhibitions add up to one big stereotype. I am a motherless mother. So just my luck, we get one who wants to know everything and needs to know it right now. You know, who asks all their fundamental and existential questions about life, death, and where did I come from, and where did everyone come from, and were there people around when the dinosaurs were alive, and do pirates exist? I swear that's how he really talks. And where's my grandma? So I said, that sometimes, you know, not always, hardly ever in fact, mummies get sick. They're really, really sick. So sick in fact that they can't get better. And that's what happened to my mummy, and she died. And when you're 4 and you're really smart, the next question is, where did your mummy go after that? It was very tempting to say, well, the Judeo-Christian belief system favours the existence of a place called heaven, that those who have been baptised and have faith in God can reach if they do good works during their lives. But Daddy and I are atheists, so we don't believe in God and we don't think anything happens to you after you die. On the other hand, there are those who believe in self-actualization through reincarnation and the concept of karma. Then it would be great to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and add, oh, and while we're on the subject of religion, you might hear about someone called Jesus around Christmas and Easter time, and although he may have existed, the jury's still out for a lot of people. Well, anyway, Daddy and I think Jesus' exploits are just stories, but you can learn some important lessons from them about how to treat people. Yeah, instead, I just went with, I don't know what happens to us when we die. No one does, really. It's one of those really, really big questions that everyone would like to know the answer to, and that heaps of really smart people are trying to find the answer. A little bit like when you ask where everyone came from, know how many stars are in the sky. But I think that when someone who we love dies, a part of them stays inside of us and they're never really gone because we remember them. So, which bit of grandma's inside of you? He asks. And when you're 4 and you're really smart, the next question is, are you going to die, Mummy? Well, everyone dies, but not usually until they're really, really old. But your mummy wasn't very old. No, she wasn't. I get to live out my whole childhood again through him. No, come to think of it, never really had much of a childhood. All the anniversaries. Your grandson's just started school, same age I was when you got sick. Soon enough he'll be the age I was when you... All the memories, even the ones I pushed to the back of that locked cupboard in my head for all these years. What makes kids bully a 7-year-old who's just lost their mother? I still cry, but the grief doesn't crush me anymore. Sometimes your absence is all around me, like a semi-solid vacuum, but mostly it's just a dull ache, a brownish tinge on the sunny, happy moments. And even that will fade with the passing time. I think I know which bit of you is inside me.
With my first pregnancy, the first time my baby moved inside me, I sit and I cry for hours. I feel very sorry for this baby to have such a horrible mother. I arrived in Australia on 12 September 2001, a day after a tragic event of September 11 happened. At Sydney Airport, I welcomed with excessive body investigation and 2 huge dogs sniffing at me in my suitcases. My visible difference, my headscarf, was the main reason for this. I felt terrified and a little embarrassed to be a Muslim immigrant. I knew English well. I have finished my master's degree and I work full-time back home as policy advisor. I have a great job. I come to Canberra to join my husband who just started his PhD. When I arrived in Canberra, I asked my husband where the people are. It was cold, dark, quiet. I imagine Canberra as capital of Australia. Metropolitan, huge city, full of population. It was completely opposite. Our new life started not much easily. Finding accommodation, furniture, friends. Not easy like I think. My husband, he go to university early in the day, come back late at night. He have his own challenges, learning English, getting to know education system, establishing his research. Not very easy. I end up sitting home all day with leaking roofs. We have been married for 6 years. We think this is good time to have babies.
Tell me after you.
Oh, I had a history of depression and was on antidepressants for 2 years. I saw a GP and we discussed my plan to get pregnant. I stopped my medication and continued to try to conceive. My depression and my leaking roof came back. I feel sad, anxious, and I cry most of the time. One day, after 4 months of trying, I see a doctor to find out why I'm not pregnant. She does urine tests and says, "Asma, you are pregnant!" It was a strange feeling, moment I never forget. Feeling of wanting and not wanting. I start to cry. The doctor thinks it's because of good news, but as soon as I get into car, I tell my husband I cannot handle it. I want to do abortion. He reminded me I badly want to be pregnant, and now I am pregnant and don't want it. He comforted me and take me out for dinner to celebrate, but my depression's so bad. I cry all the time. Some days I don't want to get out of bed to feel I am alive. My GP referred me to a psychiatrist who, instead of helping me, blamed my culture, my religion, and my husband for my depression. I just felt worse. For months I am miserable. I sit home alone all day. I wish my mom and my sister around. In our culture, pregnant mothers pamper a lot. I used to dream my mom come with a tray full of my favorite food. I wake up and I cry. 9 months pass very slowly. I'm hoping my baby will be a good one, but as soon as I go to hospital and give birth, my nightmare just starts. Even nurse and midwife at hospital, one of them, she yelled at me while I am crying, "Get over it, don't make life hell for your husband." I try very hard, but I cannot manage. I have a beautiful baby, but she is so unsettled, crying all the time. So I started asking for help, but even the family nurse who did the home visits, she saw I had a screaming baby and that I was miserable all the time. She just left me like that.
The nurse said I was overreacting and that I would get used to it, but I had to go through this pain every few hours. Demand feeding. Feed my baby whenever he wanted. Oh, it's bliss, sheer bliss to breastfeed, said one mother as she sat up in her bed with her baby glued so peacefully to her bosom. Well, I suppose it is for some mothers, but for me, the first time I tried breastfeeding and my baby clamped its tiny mouth onto my nipple the way it's supposed to, I screamed like a fire engine that wailed through the hospital corridors, and I realised that my dream of bonding with my baby wasn't shaping up quite the way I'd planned. I tried telling the nurses and the doctor, but they were too busy or not interested. They treated all of us mothers like we were the same. "You're a mother now," said one of them, as though I'd metamorphosed straight after the birth into a new being that could suddenly do mother things like never before. Baby clamps on titty like this and you lick milk into its mouth. A mother machine. Trouble was, I was the newborn to motherhood, new to a lifestyle that I was never prepared for. The only thing I ever heard before I gave birth from my mother and other mothers was that breastfeeding was better than bottle feeding and that it was a wonderful experience, giving mother and child a chance to bond. Now, a feeling of bonding. I was so looking forward to it. Of course, I believed my milk was superior to something that came out of a can too, so I kept trying and crying. This is the way it was for the first few weeks of bonding. Feed, scream, feed, scream, feed, scream, scream! Well, not always out loud, but internally I wailed and I prayed that it would get easier. They said it would if I kept at it. They wanted me to focus on my newborn and somehow blot out the pain. But breastfeeding was so painful that childbirth now seemed like a few moments of a pinprick, nothing more.
I started researching on the internet about medication, depression, and available child support services. I used to call different medical hotlines, and all they would ever recommend was to speak to my GP. Again, I saw my psychiatrist, and all